Today we're going to go over how to enter in the new patient and the insurance. To start, we're going to go to the patient list by clicking on the quick link at the top that says Patients. Once the patient list is open, on the left side, click on New Patient or F8. This will open up the patient entry screen where you can type in all the information for the patient. However, I'm going to make one modification here. This screen is customizable where I can mark fields as being required or recommended. If that's something you're interested in, to do that, at the top you'll click on Activities, go down to where it says Required Field, and then click on Patient Entry Setup. Here in this screen, you'll simply click on the fields you wish to make recommended, or click it again to make required. In this case, we'll mark some of the fields that will be needed for an insurance claim as being recommended and required. Click on the Insurance Information tab on the top, and then also click on the fields that are for the insurance. Once you've selected the fields that you wish to mark as required or recommended, click on Save Changes on the left side. Now back in the patient entry screen, you can see that some of the fields are marked as red and yellow. The red are those required ones, meaning I cannot save this patient record without typing in that information. The yellow are simply recommended to remind us that it's important to collect that information, but if you don't have it, you can still save the patient without it. Let's go ahead and fill out this patient by first typing in their name. I'm going to hit the Tab key to jump between fields. Now you'll notice as I'm tabbing through the streets, once I get to street 3, it skips the city and goes straight to the zip code. That's because TotalMD remembers the last time you typed in that zip code and will automatically fill out the city and state that was assigned to that zip code previously. Now TotalMD has this little feature here on this button called Verify Address. When you click on that, it takes the address you just typed in and checks with the United States Post Office to make sure it's valid. In this case, this address is saying that it's missing something, either an apartment or a suite or a box number. Let's go ahead and click yes. We're going to correct that. And that also brought up a message saying it can also be corrected if you want to add in that 4-digit zip code. I'm going to say no. Let's just add in the suite number real quick. And we'll double check one more time. Now the address is valid, but again, it's reminding me if I wanted to, I can update that zip code. Let's say no. We'll fill out the patient's gender and also the birth date. These are fields that are important because they will go on the patient's claim. There's more fields that you can fill out here, such as phone numbers, emails. On the left side here, there's a field called referring provider that's sometimes needed, depending on your specialty. If you need to add a referring provider on the fly, just right click here and do new referring provider. Another field that's used sometimes is this billing code. This is a field that you can create and use however you like in your office. It's basically a way of grouping patients together under certain criteria for reporting purposes. This does not affect the claims or any financials or anything that would be related to that. It's just a way of running reports. If you want to run it maybe by family members, you can create a billing code for that. Or maybe that are part of a medical trial or in a certain medical program, you can create this billing code there and assign those to those patients for running reports in the future. A few other fields too that are nice to point out was one is these notes right here. These notes is saved on the patient's record, does not go on any claims or any statements. And this could be a note for your office that can be used for anything. If you right click on it, there's an insert date and timestamp. And then here you can go ahead and type away any notes that might be needed, such as maybe this patient is trying a new diet. Below that is a field called alerts. Now this is similar to the notes where you can record anything you like here, but the difference is this alert will pop up in front of you anytime you're doing something associated with that patient. For example, maybe we need to collect this patient's email. Now with this alert typed in, anytime I bring up the patient in the scheduler or in the ledger in the future, this alert will come up to remind me I need to collect this patient's email. It's a good way to communicate with maybe the front desk when the patient comes to check in. The next thing I want to remember to do is that insurance information. Over on the top, click on insurance information. Here is where you add in the insurance policy for the patient. Now, since this is a new practice, I don't have any insurance set up yet. So let's add one real quick. I'll right click on here and we're going to go to New Primary Insurance or F8. Let's go ahead and add in this insurance information. We'll just say this Aetna. And then you can fill out the address for this insurance. Other fields that are important to note is over here on the right side, you have the checkbox here that is send electronic claims. Most likely you'll be sending electronic claims, so make sure you check that. Here under module, you'll select the clearinghouse that you're going to. If you don't see your clearinghouse in the list, you can contact our support department and they'll help you set one up. The other thing you want to add is the payer ID. This is an ID that's assigned to this particular insurance, and you can find that from your clearinghouse from their payer ID list. Other fields you want to remember are these four right here. This tells which IDs are going to go on the claim for this particular insurance. These really depend on how you've enrolled this payer or this provider with the payer. For example, in box 33, that's the information for the claim. You can either do practice information or provider. Usually it's practice. Here in box 25, that's the ID for the provider. You can do the tax ID or the social security, depending on how you've enrolled. And then below that are the two NPIs. This is box 24J or the rendering provider. You can select individual or group. Usually it's individual. And then here in 33A, again, that's the NPI for the billing or practice. Usually this is the group NPI. Once you have those fields filled out, you're pretty much done. Go ahead and click on Save Changes at the top left. This will bring you right back to the patient information screen with the insurance carrier that you've now created. Below that, we want to mark what the relationship is. Let's maybe say this is a dependent. The subscriber you'll need to add in because the system will need to know the subscriber's name, birth date, and their gender to be able to put on the claim. To add in the subscriber, just right-click and go to New Primary Subscriber or hit the F8 key. The subscriber information is the same as the patient basically, but in this case, you don't need much. Just need the patient's name, and then don't forget their address. And then their gender and birth date. The last thing you want to check is here at the top right where it says not a patient. If this subscriber is not going to be someone you're going to actually do services for, you want to mark them as not a patient. If this is also going to be someone you may see in the future, you can leave that unchecked. Once you're done, click on Save and Close. This will bring you right back to the patient information screen and now has this subscriber selected here as Joanne Smith. Type in the policy information, which is the subscriber ID found on the insurance ID card. Now, TotalMD supports the secondary and also tertiary insurance policies, which you can set up in the same manner as that primary. One other thing to note here in the insurance setup, TotalMD can also track visit series for you. This would be cases where an insurance may say, we only allow this patients to have 12 visits in the year, or maybe there's an expiration date on when this patient's going to be able to use this insurance. You can set this up here. If you were to set this up, you would get some warnings as you're doing charges and dates of service for the patient as you're getting closer to the visit count that you would type in here. Once you have finished adding in all the information that you need for this patient, go ahead and click on Save and Close. This will take you right back to the patient list where you can see the patient that you've entered in.